Welcome back. This is the first treatment session following intake with our patient John, and he was diagnosed with panic disorder and agoraphobia. Hey, John.
Hey.
All right, so before we really get started with things, I wanted to go over today's agenda with you.
Yeah.
So we're going to review the homework to
Yep.
bring the, awesome. Okay, so we're going to go over the homework in detail. Then I'm going to present to you the cognitive behavioral model of panic disorder. So you really have an understanding of what this diagnosis is and how it really pertains to you. And then we're going to talk about what your new homework is going to be moving forward.
Okay.
Is there anything you'd like to add to the agenda to make sure we talk about today?
No, I mean, I guess going through all this stuff was the biggest thing I was thinking about.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and so let's start right there and take some time to look over this homework. So how was the experience filling this out?
I just had to remember to do it. It's just, going a million directions at once, and during the day,
Yeah.
it's easy to forget.
No, it is, and you really went through it thoroughly, which is great.
Well, I
because...
didn't like looking at it with empty boxes either. It's like I need to fill the boxes.
Okay. And so let's walk through it. And I see too, you even have today filled out. So work this morning's been you even anticipated what your anxiety for
Well, yeah,
today's session would be?
I figured we're only going to mostly spend time on all the spots that were difficult. So yeah, I figured that wouldn't be great.
Well, we'll see how accurate your prediction is there. But so let's walk me through this past week with what was going on and where maybe there were some more difficult times.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's just work, ups and downs of that stuff. I don't really like presenting, but I can do it, I do it all the time.
Okay. And I remember you were going to put an asterisk when you had a panic attack. So you had a presentation, but there's no panic there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like not my favorite thing, but I don't get spun out about it.
Okay.
I do it, almost every day. But when we went to lunch later with the people from the audience, a whole bunch of them I didn't really know, I got a little freaked out.
Okay. So you have it at a 7.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that lunch. You said in a crowded restaurant here.
Yeah.
And you just added with people you didn't really know.
Yeah, these are new clients for the bank, and they want to, take them out someplace nice. It's crowded, it's loud, it's just a million things going on. I was already stressed. I just end up like stepping out, go to the bathroom, hide for a little while.
Okay, the hiding, the avoiding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just ultimately made an excuse, went back to work.
Okay.
I had to get out of there.
So that escape, that.
And then I just hung out at my desk mostly the rest of the day.
Well, and it's interesting too, right? You go from a panic attack here, you escape and go back to work, and what's your anxiety there?
Oh, it's fine, man. I was in my office by myself with all the blinds shut. Like, that's awesome.
You have it at a 1. Okay.
And since everybody was out playing and drinking with new clients, like, nobody came and bothered me all afternoon.
Okay, so, and we see that kind of pretty much going the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the time I got home, I just collapsed. I was too tired to do much of anything.
Okay, and sleep wasn't a problem.
No, I mean, I was unconscious by the time I fell down.
Okay. And so walk me through Wednesday.
Same kind of thing, just, work mostly, presented, met some new people. I don't really enjoy that a lot, but it was okay.
Okay, so then we get about 6 o'clock here.
My friends called, I didn't pick up because I knew what they wanted. They were headed to the gym, left a voicemail that was, not particularly nice or encouraging. And then started to send me a bunch of pictures, of them working out and making fun of me.
Like, where are you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a polite summary of what they had to say. But
Okay.
it's just, I'm like, I want to be there and do stuff, and there's no way that they can understand why I can't. So I just, I got overwhelmed.
Okay, and so that they can't understand why I can't be there, and got overwhelmed and thinking about going to the gym or thinking about their reaction to you.
Yeah, or just how pathetic this is, you know. I was on a good path until I got on that plane, and then, just, you know, I went crazy, and it just, you know, I can't respond with anything but like I'm too busy, I got work, you know.
Okay.
Look like I'm making excuses.
Okay. But it feels intense to you, and
Yeah.
okay.
And I want to be there. I want to do this stuff, but it just, I don't
Right.
want to flip out in front of everybody either.
Okay. So a panic attack then. So then you were reading.
Yeah, it was fine. And then sleep was bad, you know, trying to lay down and get all of that behind me, and just kept getting woke up by panic, you know, just felt terrible.
Okay.
I was like a zombie the next day.
And that leads you to work where
Yeah, it was uneventful.
until
Yeah.
So, were you still at work at 6, or when is this email
No,
from?
I was tired. I went home early. It's my boss does this. He's like that guy in Office Space.
Oh, I love that movie.
He comes by. He's like, "We need you to come in on Saturday." Like he's like Blomberg. He 10 minutes after he knows you left, and you can't come and talk to him about something, he'll send you emails with things that he knows you're gonna find unpleasant. This one
Okay.
was telling me that I gotta go to Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I got to fly. And he was, we talked about this a million times. Like, it's stupid. They don't need the numbers monkey to show up in person. I could work in the basement, in the back for all I care. But he insists on sending me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got spun out.
Okay. Well, and like you said, at this time it's an email from him.
Mm-hmm.
You're already at home.
Yeah.
Okay. And thinking about flying.
Yeah. Right. Like, how am I going to do this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
can he listen to reason? Can we talk about this?
Okay. So all that spinning in your mind. Then
Yeah.
you were.
I just sort of paced until I got tired and fell asleep.
Okay. And so that leads us to Friday.
Yeah, no, I went in early to make sure I could collect everything and like go talk to him as soon as he came in. But I knew that was going to be hard. I get worked up, I panicked about it. But I tried to talk to him to, convince him that I don't really need to be the one to do this. Send somebody
Okay.
more socially skilled and able to travel. But he didn't really listen. He basically sent me back to my office and said, "Go book your tickets."
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't you tell me last time too, like if with all the algorithm stuff, if they have their numbers monkey, maybe your company wants their number monkey there too?
I mean, I guess that's the only thing I can figure, because like otherwise, why would somebody like me be who they put out front? It's like, we have a statistician too. Look here, but it doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Okay. And probably with your proclivity to not want to fly, it adds more more thought that maybe
This is unnecessary.
right.
Like, we can Skype, if I'm just there on the screen, that's plenty.
Okay. So had a panic attack there, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then
Well, yeah, and then it got worse because he sent me back to my office. I have to book my own tickets because, like, they don't even.
you have to book your.
I had to book my own tickets. I had to fly coach, and I have to take at least 2 stops. Like, there are no flights that get me there any quicker than that. So I fly more to go the same distance.
Okay.
Because they only use one airline, and it doesn't travel very directly.
So did you book a ticket?
No, not then.
Okay. All right. So not then, but we'll see. So after you kind of had that panic, came back and had lunch in the office.
Yeah, I don't even know why I stayed at work, because I didn't get anything done. was just distracted and flipped out and tired and angry all day long.
Okay. And so yeah, work was about a 5, home and nothing.
Yeah, I sat and watched TV.
Okay.
The great enricher of mind that is. A lot of explosions, that kind of stuff.
Okay. And then sleep that night.
It was bad. I kept waking up remembering the last time I had to get off the plane, you know.
Right.
I just felt like I was dying. I don't want to do this again.
Right. Okay.
I thought a little bit about quitting, you know, just like, well, it's fine. You know, I can probably get another job at some place that doesn't require travel, but that seems stupid too.
Well, and it just demonstrates how distressing it is when you've been with this company like since you graduated, right?
Yeah.
And so you've been with the company for so long, but this hiccup in your body, this panic, is leading you to consider, even if it's jokingly, but to consider quitting.
No, it's more than joking. You know, probably like 40%.
Okay, so yeah, this really just demonstrates how much this is impacting your life negatively.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go up to Saturday.
Yeah, I was just trying to catch up on stuff mostly because I didn't get anything done, you know.
So back at work.
Yeah, just trying to get things finished.
All right.
I got home and we just watched more movies, more, you know, very erudite, smart stuff. Mostly things that start a rock.
Very smart stuff for sure.
But it was at least not, you know, anxiety provoking.
Okay. And it looks like sleep that night.
Yeah, I was so tired that, you know, I just collapsed.
Okay. And then that brings us to Sunday.
Yeah, I was still trying to catch up on work and stuff, and then, you know, I had to book more travel things. This is like the last day I had to be able to get the actual ticket, so
Okay.
I had to do that, and I panicked.
Okay, so that's the panic was really to actually booking the trip.
Yeah.
Okay. And then lunch alone and work.
Yeah.
So after you booked it.
Yeah, I tried to go back to work, but it wasn't super helpful.
Okay. And then work. Gym attempted.
Yeah, no, my friends just kept sending me obnoxious pictures and texts like for days, you know, since the last time. Just they go every day, you know, more or less. And I finally was like, yeah, I can't really make a lot of excuses Sunday night at 7:00. So
Okay.
you know, I tried to go.
So you tried to go or you went?
No, I mean, I did. I got there,
Awesome.
but I couldn't do anything. I tried in the sense of like the exercise got my heart rate up, and then I got all shaky, and I had to make an excuse. I had to pretend like my wife was texting me to come home, but she needed something.
But you went.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
You not only went, you started doing some exercises too.
Well, minimal, yeah, but some.
Okay, awesome. But then, like you said, you started to have the physiological sensations that are similar to a panic attack, and you left. Okay. And then home?
Yeah, I just came home and, collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And then couldn't sleep.
Okay.
Kept waking up, just, I don't like that my world keeps getting smaller with this stuff. It's, everything I want to do is disappearing, and everything that I don't want to do seems more.
Right. Well, and that's, and that's how the panic can get you to feel so uncomfortable in situations where you want to escape or avoid. And then agoraphobia, either suffering through or avoiding places where you think that escape is going to be difficult, or you might have another panic attack. And that's seeing how your world went from being, exercising and engaging to after that flight, just world's just kind of starting to cave in some too.
Yeah.
Okay. So in talking through this, what did you notice?
It's pretty unpleasant to think about travel.
Okay, so yeah, in a lot of these situations, related to finding out that you needed to go on a plane, talking about the plane, scheduling the flight. That led, or flights, yes, flights, led to the thoughts and the physiological sensations of panic.
Yeah.
Okay. There were also another thing that tended to be related to panic too.
Oh yeah, sleep was crap every time that I, got real worked up. It was weird though. Sometimes you just feel depleted and you collapse, and then other times it's like it won't go away. It just keeps bothering you, intruding on the one time you should be able to escape.
And that's where, we're going to bring this all into the cognitive behavioral model of panic, just how the thoughts can relate to the sensations, and the sensations can, evoke that panic that leads to avoidance too, and help you have a better understanding of all of that as well.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's what we're doing today. Okay.
And the other thing that I wanted to point out as well, because you've noticed the sleep, and certainly about travel, but the other part that I noticed as well is related to your friends in the gym. So it's not just travel, but it's about the gym too, where some of these physiological sensations, similar to panic, might be evoked.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't want to go, but then I also, for whatever reason, worry about what those idiots think. Like, why are you not here?
So kind of that embarrassment, if you will, even though you can do presentations like a champ, you don't have any problem.
Well, I can get through them.
Okay.
I don't think anybody loves the presentation from an economist, really.
Okay. But those were the areas where we really see that you had some difficulty with the thoughts and the feelings there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so great, I really appreciate all the detail you went to into completing this, because it really helps me better understand, how you've been spending your time and when these pesky little hiccups tend to come into your day to day.
Okay.
So great job there.
Yeah, well, you gave me boxes to fill out.
Well, I will continue giving you things to fill out so that hopefully you can see the patterns, but it can help me understand your experience as well.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So what do you know about panic disorder?
It sucks.
Right. Okay. So it sucks.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
It has some strange effects on my physiology.
Right, so I know you were at the ER a few times and they told you eventually, heart's fine, this is panic, and I know previously you had a trial of medications that you really didn't like, so any information that you recall getting before about your cycle of panic?
No, the physicians, it was like, I don't remember how many trips, 3 or 4 before anybody even suggested it.
Okay.
And then they just handed me, Xanax. It was like, take that and you'll feel better.
Okay.
They didn't tell me anything.
Okay. So that's part of today, is to help really understand specifically to your experience of panic and from this cognitive behavioral perspective. So how sometimes the thoughts impact the physiological sensations, or the physiological sensations can impact the thoughts that lead to the escape and avoidance behaviors that you've seen. Okay, so first off, when we're talking about a CBT model of panic, we generally starts with the thoughts, the beliefs about the dangerousness of your panic symptoms. So I don't know if we want to talk about in general, or if we want to take one of the experiences you had from this past week. We can talk about, what are your beliefs about how dangerous it is for a panic attack to occur?
I believed before, I thought I was dying the first time. When I was sitting on that plane, just, couldn't breathe. Vision was getting blurry. I thought I was dying. And I get now that that's not the case. There's nothing wrong with my heart, but
right.
It sure isn't very pleasant.
So originally, it was the panic sensations equated to you're going to die.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I thought I was having a heart attack. Like I was
Mhm.
100% sure I was having a heart attack.
Okay. But through the different evaluations, you realize, okay, I'm not going to die. My heart is good. Or I guess I should ask you, do you still believe that panic means you're going to die?
No, I mean, I know I'm not dying. I just feel like I'm dying.
Okay.
But I know it won't actually kill me. It's just extremely unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about from your homework this week. Let's pick one of the panic attacks that you had.
The one with the email. I can remember that one the best.
Okay. So when you read the email, okay, what were some of the thoughts that went through your mind?
Like, well, what's wrong with this guy? Why does he always do
Mhm.
this? Like, I can't travel. Like, I can't fly. Like, I know you use this crappy regional airline that always stops so many places, gonna make it even worse.
Mhm.
Like, the last time I had to get off the plane, like, how am I
Okay.
gonna do this?
And so what physiological sensations did you start experiencing?
You know, my heart, like, right away, I could feel it, like, trying
Mhm.
to jump out of me almost. Just
Right.
got really worked up.
And so when you started feeling the physiological sensations, I mean, did you think they were dangerous? Did you think, oh no, it's happening again? What were some of the thoughts?
Yeah, more like not this again. Like
Okay.
I'm tired of this. It just gets in the way of everything. And how am I even supposed to talk to him about it if I'm gonna, flip out and not be able to articulate my objections and concerns? I guess that could work to my advantage, if I look completely crazy, you might not want to send me. but it impairs, the ability to do anything.
Mm-hmm. And so when you start having the panic, and you're like, not this again, this gets in the way of everything, do you go to what we call a catastrophic thought? Like, this gets in the way of everything. I'm not going to be able to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And
immediately, like, it's going to be like last time. I'm going to get on a plane, I'm going to flip out, I'm not going to be able to do it, and then I'm going to get fired.
Okay.
And I mind quitting a whole lot less than I mind getting fired, especially for something that, like, I'm just, weakness. I can't do it.
Okay. So seeing that email and starting to have those physiological sensations, you start, originally, right, yeah, I'm going to die. I'm going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Got tested out. So now, even though, does that one ever happen anymore? The thinking you're going to die?
No, not because of the panic. I sort of worry about that on the plane sometimes.
But that's a different maybe. Okay. So I'm going to take that one off because that one you've kind of realized, I'm not thinking I'm going to die because of the panic.
Yeah.
But when you get those feelings, those sensations, not this again. It gets in the way of everything. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to get fired.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing about that is when we start having these types of thoughts about, in some ways, the dangerousness because you're having the panic, it leads people to be what we call hyper-focused on the anxiety symptoms. Okay. So when you first started noticing the heart rate increase, was it just like, oh, that's my heart increasing, or?
No, it's the same as it has been happening. It's like you narrow your focus to just that. Like, why is this happening to me again? How do I make it quit? Mildly, like, am I gonna die?
And as you're thinking about that, did you notice other physiological sensations? So heart rate.
I guess it felt tense. It felt hot. Like I always
Mm-hmm.
it feels almost like sweaty, like you're running almost.
Almost like when you're exercising?
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Okay.
You're trying to make a point, right? Like.
Well, I was subtly, we'll get more specific certainly later, but in the situation where you get this email, you're thinking about that, your heart's increasing, you're feeling tense, hot and sweaty. Any other anxiety symptoms or panic symptoms that you noticed?
No, I guess I was dizzy.
Okay.
I don't know if that's just because I got overheated or couldn't breathe, but like.
Oh, so couldn't breathe?
Yeah, my heart's way up, but the breath got real short.
Okay. And so when you're experiencing those physiological sensations, what we tend to see is that it increases the thought of how bad the situation is. All right, these thoughts, you're hyper-focused on the anxiety symptoms. It leads to increased these negative thoughts of how bad. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to get fired. Like, this is happening again.
Yeah.
Okay? And so it leads to the overestimation of what ifs. So, what if I'm not going to be able to do this again?
Then I'm going to get fired.
Right. So what is the likelihood that you're going to get fired?
If I can't do it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like 100%. My boss said, if you don't do this, you're fired. I mean, he could be that way. I don't know if he absolutely means it, but he said it, so.
Okay. So boss has said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. How about that?
So let's take it back from the fired, but let's go with what's the likelihood that when you're not going to be able to go on the plane again?
I don't. I mean, not 100%. I mean, or else I would have just already quit. Maybe 90.
Okay. And if you were to have a panic attack, how bad would that be?
Like how bad would the panic be, or how bad would the implications of the panic be?
How bad would the implications of the panic be?
I mean, pretty bad. If I couldn't stay on the plane, if I had to leave. You want a percentage for that again?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like 95.
Okay. So for you, thinking about panic right now, specifically the flying, you're thinking it's about a 90% likelihood that I'm not going to be able to do this. And based on what your boss has said before, the severity would be bad in terms of I'm going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and all the other stuff that comes along with that.
Okay. So in that moment, when you got the email, you're thinking all of these thoughts, you're starting to experience these sensations, which leads to more of this. I'm going to get fired. I'm not going to be able to do this. What we tend to see is that this leads to increased anxiety symptoms, leading to more hyper-focus on the anxiety symptoms, where we see this great panic.
You just create a feedback loop.
Okay, a feedback loop, exactly.
So every time you start in one place, it just cycles and makes everything worse.
Until something changes, this is the loop that your brain has, right? That it's this leads to this leads to this. There's more focus here. Panic leads to more focused attention. So a feedback loop. And then in that situation, what did you do? So you're having a panic attack.
I just tried to shut it out. I just started pacing my house, like reading a book.
Okay.
I probably walked around my house for like 2 hours until it finally was able to calm down.
Mm-hmm. And so this is what we call safety behaviors. What are you doing to try to avoid or decrease the likelihood of the experience of these physiological sensations? Okay, because you said, and it shows here on your homework as well, that after that, you walked around, so you paced. What else did you do?
No, that was it. I was reading a book while I was doing it, but just kind
of... So trying to distract, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, just anything I could do to get that out of my head, because even now, I don't want to think about it. It just gets me wound up.
Okay. Yeah, it gets you wound up, and sometimes, different situations, like safety behaviors could be I don't know, like if you're in a restaurant with a crowded people and a lot of people, you might escape to the bathroom.
I'm gonna stop writing this stuff
You-
down. Like, it's no fair.
But this is exactly why we do it, because it's helpful, so we can demonstrate this in your own environment, your own feedback loop. Not everyone's feedback loop is exactly the same,
Right.
but we see it very similar. Okay, so for you, you paced, you distracted, right?
Yeah, or I mean, yeah, there wasn't a way to.
You
I
want to.
couldn't get away from me. I just tried to take my brain someplace else.
So you wanted to get out of your head in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because pacing, reading a book, distracting prevents you from having to deal with realizing you can sit in the situation and that would go away. But instead,
It shouldn't seem that way. It's not really been my experience.
but when you engage in safety behaviors, did it help in any way decrease your thoughts about the dangerousness of experiencing panic?
I don't know. Maybe then. I got it
Temporarily,
out of
right?
my head, like I didn't have to think about it anymore, or I thought about it less anyway. But overall, not really.
Right, so in the moment, the safety behaviors, the pacing, the distracting, leads to this escape. I escape these sensations. But then, the next time, so meeting with the boss,
Yeah, next day.
walk me through the meeting with the boss from this kind of model.
Well, I spent the first couple hours I was there, like way before everybody else, just, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be able to even speak without shaking, without looking like an idiot, without, completely missing the point of what I want to say, knowing that I was going to go in there and just, kind of come apart.
So you're already anticipating that there's going to be a come apart, that the panic in some ways is dangerous because it's going to negatively impact this meeting.
Yeah. And then when get into his office to start, it's like it didn't go well. It's like, hey, I want to talk about this email, and he was like, let's not. you're
Okay,
going.
so he was already like.
He knew what I was going to say. He already.
Okay.
We talked about this so many times. It just.
And what did you start feeling in the room with your boss?
Oh, my heart again, just things.
So the heart tends to be like the first or the one that has the most impact.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then just tense and hot and sweaty, and I had to get out.
Okay, that's what I was just gonna say. Like when you're tense and hot and sweaty, it tends to lead to increased thoughts of, whatever it was. What were the thoughts with your boss there?
That I just wasn't going to be able to get it out. I was going to look like such a moron that I couldn't even speak. I don't want him to literally think that I'm crazy or something. But I was upset and I just couldn't say what I wanted to say.
Right, and you touched on that. You've mentioned that a time before that I didn't catch on enough either. But people are going to think I'm going crazy, or I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes that can be the dangerousness of panic too. That it's not this necessarily this tangible thought of I'm gonna wreck my car or something like that. It's more of I might be going crazy.
Well, yeah, I worry about that. I put everything I had into cultivating the capability to think, and if that goes away, I don't have a whole lot left at that point. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so, what's the likelihood when you're like that these sensations are going to lead you to, what's the likelihood you're going to go crazy?
Well, in the short term, when I feel like that, I sure appear crazy. Like
Okay.
I can't do much, but as of yet, it hasn't really evidenced anything that says it's going to be a permanent condition.
Right. And how bad would it be if you were?
If I was crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Like real bad. I mean, like 100% bad.
So it makes sense then that when you're having these kind of thoughts and the physiological sensations, that it leads to having more anxiety and panic sensations, which leads to you being more hyper-focused on when you have these thoughts or these physiological sensations, and it leads to the avoidance, the get out, I don't want to be in this situation, I need to leave, I need to make it look like I'm not crazy, anything that you can do to decrease these thoughts and feelings.
So it was like, it just interrupts the feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
These are the ways that I've constructed to try to turn it off.
Right. And it works in the short term.
Yeah, well, sort of, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because you escape,
Yeah.
right? But as you're seeing with the nocturnal panic, with the sleep, with the more avoidance, you know, getting to the point where, and I think you mentioned before, you used to go to movies.
Well, yeah, I used to love to go to movies.
Mm-hmm. And now the world is starting to just kind of narrow for you.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is get to the point where we interrupt this feedback loop, where we, in some ways, remove this part of avoidance so that you're going to test the idea that if you stay in the situation and don't escape or avoid, that you're not going to go crazy. That you're...
That sounds like we're leading to something very unpleasant. If I can't do this, but I still have to do this, that means I'm just gonna have to be miserable.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. When you, before the panic attack in the plane, you said you used to work out all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. When you worked out, did your heart rate increase?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I was running 10 miles a day.
Did you feel hot and sweaty?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the point.
Did you get to the point where it was hard to breathe sometimes?
Sometimes when I was wrestling, but that was because people were choking me.
Okay. Did you ever run to the point where when you stopped or when you stood up, you felt a little dizzy?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Okay. So why wasn't that panic inducing?
Because that was fun. That was the point, you've gotten to the edge if you feel that stuff.
How did you know you weren't having a panic attack?
Well, I never had one before. Well, and I guess it was sort of like you're saying, it's the way you think about it.
And that's where we see a lot of the thoughts can really, and you said too, the anticipation of meetings. So these thoughts already have this heightened, your heightened awareness of looking for these physiological sensations that you're interpreting or misinterpreting as dangerous, and it's going to lead to a panic attack. I'm going to have one, which makes me more hyper aware of symptoms.
Yeah.
So I need to escape, avoid, get out.
Yeah, or prevent, just.
Or prevent, absolutely. Avoidance can prevent this from, or we think that I'm going to prevent it from occurring.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is work on trying to figure out a better feedback loop for you that's going to help test the ideas, again, that the safety behaviors or the escape and avoidance.
Still sounds a lot like that's going to suck, though.
And it is going to suck. So I don't want to sugarcoat it to you, because if I were to tell you that it's going to be easy and fun and all of that, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
Because it is uncomfortable. But we're going to be working on it in a planned way to make sure that you're understanding every step while we're doing these behavioral experiments, or we're testing some of these ideas.
Okay.
Okay?
Controlled.
Controlled, in a controlled environment. And so as we get there, I want to go over what the next step of homework is going to be.
All right.
But let me take a step back. Before we get there, in your own words, describe to me the model of panic for you.
I think too much.
Well, we're great at metacognitions, right?
Right, yeah, like anticipation of negativity is a lot of times worse than the negativity itself. Like it causes these bad things to happen, and then when they do, it just solidifies what you think, which causes more bad things to happen, and before you know it, like you're, a million miles from where you started.
Okay. And so in this way, to really solidify that and to further help you and me, when you return it for homework, understand your experience of panic attacks, we're going to have a little bit of a different homework this week.
Still has boxes.
It still has boxes, yes. So the first part is I'm giving you a paper model of the CBT model of panic for you to review and see if there's anything that interesting that you want to add. Just to make sure we're solidifying that model for you. Okay. So that's the first one.
Is that right to just like take a picture of this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Some people like paper, but that's a great idea to take a picture too.
My phone in the car, I'll go and get it.
Okay, now we'll leave this up until after session so you can come back in and take that too. This one is just going to be a generic mood record. We're going to have some specific things that I'm going to walk through with you related to panic attacks. But this one is just going to be, what is your average, just like it says here, average anxiety throughout the day, average depression, and average worry about panic. Okay, so we want to start teasing out some just general anxiety and the average worry about panic. I know that the depression's not really a thing for you, so, and we have the scale here, just 0, none, up to 10 extreme. Okay. So any questions about that one?
No, just do it once a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're just looking for an average one there. So here's the one that I want to definitely spend some time to walk through with you. So I'm just going to generally describe it and then kind of go through an example as well.
Okay.
So this is a panic attack record, and you can see I have like 5 or 6 of them. I want to make
planning for a good week.
I want to make sure that you have enough and that I'm giving you the tools that you need to be monitoring this. And so with this, first off, what was the trigger? Okay, so what date it was, the time it began. Because we also want to get a sense of the time that you're experiencing these sensations too, to help you really be clear about how long this is happening, what's happening with the experience.
Okay.
So triggers, what, in some ways, what do you think led to the panic attack? Expected or unexpected? And at this point, from what you've been describing, I imagine they're going to be expected.
Yeah, so far.
Okay. And then here, rating your maximum fear. So in the whole panic attack, what was your highest level of fear? And then walking through any symptoms that you had, at least to a mild degree. Okay. So some of these things maybe you've experienced, but you haven't equated them with the panic attack. So chest pain, sweating, heart racing. I don't need to read them all for you, but all of those. And then thoughts and behaviors.
What's that one?
Good question. So the feelings of unreality. So people might call it unreality or depersonalization. So this is the things that around you don't feel normal. They might feel unreal or strange.
Almost like you're floating, like you're out of your body almost.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
no, we could check that box a lot.
Okay. And so this is just going to help us better understand what are the general symptoms that you're experiencing during panic, or if there's difference depending on the situation. Okay. So let's look at your homework from last week. Let's pick a different panic attack. Let's go with when you went to the gym. Okay. So what would you say the trigger was?
Well, I guess I was worried about going there, but.
Were you worried that you were going to have a panic attack, or why were you worried?
Yeah, that was why. I was worried that once I got started, my heart rate will go, and then I'll get freaked out.
So it's almost like even though we didn't go through this, you already were thinking, if I go, my heart rate's going to go up and I'm going to have, you were already foreshadowing or predicting that that was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and then like worse, because I figured everybody would laugh too. And, you know, that's
Okay.
not fun.
So, when did the actual physiological sensations of a panic attack begin?
10 minutes after I got to the gym,
Okay.
maybe. I mean, it was like, I don't know, 7, 10, something like that.
Okay. And so the triggers were, concern about having a panic attack. And, it could be, email, it could be, booking a flight, whatever that entails. But so for this one, going to the gym and worrying about having a panic attack.
So I'm going to write this.
Yep, great.
Okay.
Okay. Was it expected or unexpected?
It's pretty anticipated.
Okay. So during the experience, what was the maximum fear that you encountered?
Well, I put like a 9. I mean, I would have put a 10, but it's like, you can always get worse. So.
It can always get worse.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then go through and it says check all symptoms present at least to a mild degree. Okay. So if you experience them, think about that situation at the gym. Okay, so I just want to look at them too. So, sweating. And was that before you were starting to lift or?
No, I mean, I was worried, but I held it together until, I got my heart rate up, and then it was, then I couldn't.
Okay. So even though in this situation you can understand that the heart rate and the sweating was related to exercise, it still is the same physiological sensations.
I just hear a plane engine in my head,
Okay. Shortness of breath, dizzy, unsteady, lightheaded, faint. You're shaking and trembling. Chills. Was it hot flashes or was it chills? Okay.
More hot.
The feelings of unreality. You said like we should just check that one for most of them.
All the time.
Okay. And here's that fear of losing control or going insane, right? So what thoughts were going through your mind when you were having the panic attack?
Mostly, I got to get out of here. I need to leave before somebody notices.
Okay.
Because I don't need more judgment from these guys.
Is it loving judgment or is it?
I mean, I don't know. As
Okay.
much as these animals are capable of caring about anybody, maybe. But
Okay. So, I need to leave before somebody notices.
yeah,
Okay. So then what did you do?
I just left. I just pretended my wife had texted me and I had to go.
Okay. So the safety behavior was having your phone there to act like you received a text from your...
Oh yeah, no, I thought about that on the way in too. Like just in
Okay.
case, just in case.
And that's a perfect description of a safety behavior, just in case. Something that you're doing to either help you get through the situation or to prevent the situation from occurring,
Yeah.
right? And so by escaping, by leaving the situation, how long did it take after leaving for you to feel more calm or to have those sensations kind of subside?
Well, the worst part was it was over. I mean, quick.
It's like that.
Yeah, I walked just a little ways back to my car, and I wouldn't have tried to drive like that, but I felt fine.
And that's why safety behaviors can be so powerful, that escape or that avoidance, because it took that those extreme, you put them at, or strong, you wrote at a 9, those strong panic sensations, and almost immediately got rid of them.
Yeah.
So almost immediately you're like, great, they're not going to notice that I'm lost control or went crazy.
Yeah.
Which reinforces the next time this feedback loop continues. Whether it's avoidance with the phone, whether it's in the lunchroom going, escaping to the bathroom and then excusing yourself back to work.
Yeah.
It really reinforces that type of behavior. And so over the week, the more we can log this and learn more about your experiences, we can use that to design specific behavioral experiments for you to consider. Okay, so what questions do you have about any of the homework?
I don't think I do. I mean, this makes sense. I just
Okay.
get my phone out of my car. It's all right to.
Absolutely. And that way you'll have that, and hopefully it can help you remind yourself about this cycle. And we can definitely follow up next time with any thoughts that you have or any questions that might pertain to it.
Okay.
Okay? So I'll make sure you have those, and we can get your phone and come and take a picture of that.
Cool.
All
I'll
right.
see you next week.
Okay, take care.